This is Vinton Poker, precision in, profits out. And the topic of today's short talk is the hidden cost of being right. Winning a pot is often the most dangerous thing that can happen to a mediocre poker player. You walk away from the table with a stack full of chips, a dopamine fueled grin, and the absolute conviction that you played the hand perfectly, when in reality, you just committed an act of financial negligence that went unpunished. You think you were right because you won. But in this game, being right is a distraction from being profitable. I'm Vinton, and I help everyday poker players just like you crush live cash poker games exploitatively so you too can turn poker into a profitable income stream and win consistently. You don't lose your stack when you're obviously confused. You lose it when you're convinced. That's the paradox. Most players assume mistakes come from ignorance, and they don't. They come from certainty, from the quiet internal declaration, I know I'm right. And that belief, when unsupported by math, logic, and opponent specific evidence, is the most expensive drug at the poker table. Let's dissect this delusion clinically. Being right feels good, it feels powerful, it feels like control. When you call a river shove and win, your brain releases dopamine. It doesn't ask why you called. It only records that you were validated. This is where the intellectual poison enters. Your brain begins to equate outcome with correctness. And once that association is formed, you start defending outcomes instead of auditing decisions. That's how leaks become identity. Here's the hidden cost. Every time you prioritize being right, you abandon profitability. Poker does not reward correctness, it rewards expected value. And expected value doesn't care if you were right this time. It only cares if your decision survives repetition. And most players never repeat their right decisions often enough to notice the bleed. Let me give you a real table example. It's a 2-5 game. The felt smells like spilled beer and regret. Chips click nervously. A TV hums above the table, ignored by everyone except the guy that's not in the hand. You're on the river with top pair, weak kicker. The board is ugly. The nit across from you, silent all night, coffee untouched. He shoves. You feel it, that tightening in your chest, that voice that says, he's trying to push me around. You call. He tables the nuts. You shake your head and mutter, I knew it. That sentence is the problem. You weren't wrong because you called. You were wrong because you needed to be right. You called to resolve discomfort. You called to protect your ego. You called to end your uncertainty. That's not poker. That's emotional regulation via money. Here's the core truth most players never accept. Folding and being right is irrelevant. Calling and being right is also irrelevant. The only thing that matters, was my decision profitable before the cards were revealed? If you don't know the answer, you're not playing poker. You're narrating a story. And stories are expensive. This is why field players go broke slowly. They win just enough to justify their instincts. They lose just often enough to stay confused. Their bankroll doesn't collapse, it erodes. Because the pot is a vacuum, and it only fills with the chips of the impatient. Now let's talk about the deeper psychological trap. Being right creates identity attachment. You stop evaluating decisions and start defending them. You stop asking questions and start asserting conclusions. I always knew he was bluffing. I knew my read was good. I knew that bet looked weak. This is where PIPO breaks the spell. Precision in, profits out. PIPO forces one brutal question before every big decision. If I repeat this exact decision 1,000 times against this player type, do I make money? Not, am I right here? Not, will I look stupid? Not, what if I'm wrong? Just that. That one question strips ego out of the equation. And when ego dies, clarity is born. The moment you feel the urge to prove that you were right, that's your signal to slow down. That urge, means your emotions have entered the driver's seat. And emotions are terrible, terrible at math. Instead, you should ask, what is his range here? What bluffs does he realistically have? What value hands dominate me? What does the math say about my required win frequency? If you don't know the answer to those questions, folding is not weakness, it's professionalism. This is where most aspiring poker assassins level up or just quit, because abandoning the need to be right feels like loss of control, when in reality, it's the first moment of actual control. You stop fighting the hand, you stop fighting the opponent, and you stop fighting yourself. You start executing, and execution is where money lives. This is exactly why I built the PIPO system and why it's outlined throughout my book, The Poker Delusion. Because field-based certainty is seductive, but math-based clarity is lethal. As I wrote in The Poker Delusion, your ego wants to be right. The math wants to be paid. That distinction changes everything. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, I do this a lot, well, good. That awareness is profit adjacent. If you find yourself freezing when the pot swells and the clock is ticking, it's because your decision engine isn't yet a reflex. This is why I built the Vinton Poker Coaching AI. It's designed to spar with your hands 24/7, forcing you to run these calculations until hesitation dies and you act with clinical detachment of an executioner. You can begin training your reflexes right now at vintonpoker.com/AI coach. The most expensive hands in your career are not the ones you remember losing. They are the ones where you won, but you shouldn't have. Every time you win a big pot with negative EV call, you reinforce a pattern that will eventually be exploited by better players. You're ignoring the red flags of your own incompetence because short-term results feel like validation. This is how the unlucky grinder is born. He believes he's skilled because he wins hero pots, but then blames variance when the bankroll inevitably collapses. You need to stop lying to yourself about why you won. You need an unflinching mirror. The Leak Hunter diagnostic was engineered to rip away the comfort blanket of your results and show you the cold, hard numbers where your reads are actually just dressed up as impulses. If you're serious about stopping the bleed, run the diagnostic at vintonpoker.com/leak hunter. It will show you exactly where you're donating your edge to players that are more disciplined than you are. True poker mastery is the ability to fold a strong hand and feel absolutely nothing. No regret, no what ifs, no bruising of the ego. You fold because the numbers fueled by your best assessment of the opponent rendered a verdict of no. You're playing the long game. You're the house, and the house does not care about the outcome of a single spin. The house only cares about the edge that is maintained. Victory is a liar that hides your failures. Loss is a teacher that demands your attention. From this moment forward, your new standard must be this. If you call a bet, it's because the math fueled by your sharpest reads cleared it. And if it didn't, you fold like a pro. No second guessing, no emotional story, no leak. That's it for today's talk. If you got value from this video, give it a like and share it with someone who's also serious about leveling up and becoming a crusher just like you. I want to hear from you in the comments. When was the last time you won a significant pot but realized afterwards that your call was actually an act of financial negligence? Your support helps this channel grow, and it means a lot to me. Want more strategy, structure, and tools that actually work? Head over to vintonpoker.com and join the free newsletter. And if you want to keep improving and crushing, watch this next video. I'm Vinton, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.